Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Ellen here with a new video for you. Welcome to part 1 of What If Saitama Was in My Hero Academia. I just wanted to greet you guys with sit back and relax. You are in for a treat. So, we begin. We see the bustling city of Mustafu, Japan. Just a typical day for everyone. Heroes are patrolling the streets to make sure everyone is safe. In this hero society, humans are born with things known as quirks, superpowers that 80% of the world's population have, from powerful quirks like fire manipulation to weaker quirks or mutations with no purpose. Yet those born without quirks in this hero society are treated as less than human, even though they are actually the more normal out of the other 80% of people. A man in a suit carrying a briefcase can be seen walking down the side street. The man had a plain look on his face, almost as if they were indifferent to the world around them. Someone call a hero! Several people come running past to hear more screaming, followed by splatter. Finally, footsteps are heard through the now vacant side street. The only ones left are the man with the briefcase and the perpetrator of the citizens fleeing.
Why aren't you running, you pitiful human?
A squeaking, stuck up voice questioned. The man looked down only to see a larger than average gray rat with messy fur and a ring shaped bald spot on its head. The man responded, I am jobless, unable to find a way to earn money, and almost completely broke. The man just stared at the tiny rat with cold, lifeless eyes. The rat creature just looked inquisitive as it asked the obvious question on its mind.
Well, couldn't you become a hero? I mean, with your quirk, you can. Wait! Don't tell me!
The furry creature jumped into the jobless man's shirt as it started poking around at the man's body before making its way underneath the man's pants and poking out through the bottom of the man's pant leg and gasping. The rat jumped out of the man's clothes before laughing.
So that's why you weren't fighting back! You're quirkless!
Before continuing, the rat composed.
Ahem. Well, I pity you. You get to live even if you are just a human.
The rat starts to walk away before turning back one more time.
Because I don't kill the pitiful, only those whose existence matters.
The rat scowled.
And that schizophrenic plebeian that stole my crown.
The creature then scurried away into the shadows of the side street before disappearing from the view of the jobless man completely. The man walked away also, not caring about what just happened. The mouse could tell the look in the man's eyes, cold and lifeless. Nothing in life mattered to him. Existence is pain. The man got no fulfillment in his life and was only looking for a job to ignore the pain and give this suffering purpose. Many minutes passed as he walked down various alleyways to start his journey back to his apartment. His apartment was located in Akuto City, which is located just outside Shizuoka Prefecture and was a city notorious for being overrun by villains. But nowadays, thanks to heroes, is just an abandoned city full of trash that only houses one thing: those with a lack of money. That being the reason for the jobless man living there. He was halfway there when he passed by a man with blonde hair and wearing a wife beater walking out of a pawn shop with a wad of cash in hand. Morning, nice day, the blonde said before immediately saying in a completely different tone, This day sucks! The man with the suitcase turned around. Hold on, you didn't meet a rat by any chance, did you? The blonde man then blurted out in a surprisingly skater jockish tone,
That rat was a total grody.
then whispered, Shut up! The dead inside man was about to say something.
I found you!
A swarm of rats approached the schizophrenic man and stopped just shy of his face. The blonde, mentally ill man collapsed on the ground as the Rat King got closer.
Now answer me, human.
The Rat King commanded.
Where is my crown?
I don't know, he trembled before switching once more.
I sold it.
He covered his mouth as the king of the rats went wide-eyed now that he knew his crown was pawned off.
You sold the symbol of my authority? My thing in this world that shows that I am no ordinary rat, but a being of great power?
He then began to laugh.
Ah!
His voice went from his regal persona to being truly representing his true self.
I'll kill you.
The Rat King then used his quirk to summon rats from all corners of the city. If anyone saw what was happening, what was about to happen, all ran. The rats that were summoned jumped together until an ocean of rats was formed, somewhat resembling a rat made of tinier rats and their tails all tied up at the bottom. The rat monstrosity then lunged towards the man, getting ready to maul him to death, and then
Huh?
the Rat King monstrosity looked around.
Where did the bastard head off to?
The business suit man had jumped in at the last moment and carried the blonde man away from the Rat King's grasp. Almost immediately after, though, the rat conglomerate turned around.
Well, good old quirkless Deadeyes, what brings you here? You aren't trying to get in my way, are you?
The pile of rats inquired, narrowing their thousands of eyes at the quirkless businessman. The man, Dead Eyes, then stood up and started to laugh. You know, you remind me of a villain from a cartoon I watched as a kid. The rat conglomerate then sighed.
You know, I pitied you the first time. That is why I let you go. But just because I let you live the first time doesn't mean I will pity you the second. I give you one more chance. Choose your words carefully.
You are by far the ugliest looking rat I have ever seen. He paused, only slightly regretting his next words. I had a pet rat that was missing several limbs and was blind. Why am I trying this hard to provoke these rats?
What is your name? So I can remember what grave I'm going to desecrate after I kill you.
The rat intimidatingly asked him. Saitama. The two foes stared each other down, both waiting for the moment to clash, one of them forgetting about their company, one of them not. The rat monstrosity then rushed its way toward Saitama, him just barely dodging each of the rat cluster's swipes to claw his eyes out. Saitama dodged underneath the seventh swipe and tried to go to the back of the swarm of rats to try and get to a point where the rats can't get to him. His attempt was for naught, as the swarm of rats got a hit in and knocked Saitama back, slamming into a brick building, blood now coming from his forehead. The swarm approached him, trying to claw the former dead-eyed man's eyes out. Saitama then loosened his tie as he then dodged to the side. One of the rat's paws grazed him and he got his footing, got up and lunged for the rat's tail, just barely grabbing one of the tails and yanking. By pure coincidence, Saitama managed to grab the tail holding the rats together as he yanked. The swarm of rats dispersed, falling apart, no longer able to keep together with their tails not tied together. All that was left was a singular rat, the rat that started this mess. Not wanting to keep this going and his adrenaline rushing, Saitama then punted the rat far away, never to be seen again. He collapsed soon after. Still awake, the man he saved slowly got up to thank his savior. He noticed that he was still awake, so he asked, "Why'd you save me?" It was always my dream to be a hero, one that could beat villains like that rat bastard. A long pause. With one punch. One moment while I get some change. The same man, who had the fire in his eyes and promised to defeat villains in one punch, is rummaging in his pocket to get change for the groceries he was purchasing. Here you go. Saitama left the store soon after he paid for his groceries. Honestly, who would expect the same man who was looking for a job 3 years ago to be so still dead inside? He walked through the alleys and various underpasses while contemplating his life choices. I trained so hard for 3 years. Why am I still so empty? After that day, when he defeated the rat villain, he decided to train hard. A brutal training regimen of 100 sit ups, 100 squats, 100 push ups, and a 10-kilometer run every day. Eventually, he got so strong that, well, hey, you, what you doing to that boy? Saitama asked the sludge in front of him. What Saitama is witnessing is while he was starting to walk under an underpass, is seeing a boy what he could only assume having gallons of sludge shoved inside him. No, bad. Not in that way, you pervert. The sludge villain then turned around and lunged at Saitama, unknowingly dropping the green-headed boy while screaming, "Die!" Saitama, quicker than the sludge villain could react, threw a single punch and created a shockwave that blew the sludge villain apart. Normal punch. The baldy, wearing an opie hoodie, walked over to the green-headed teen who was lying on the cement. Hey, kid, wake up. Saitama then started slapping the kid repeatedly, but very gently on the face to wake him up. Have no fear, for I am here! A booming voice yelled as All Might emerged from the sewers. Now, where is that vile villain of sludge? Saitama stood up and pointed beneath the feet of All Might. Taking the hint, All Might quickly gathered all the bits of sludge from all over the underpass. Then he thanked Saitama before he hopped off. The hero for fun just elected to stay next to the kid until he wakes up. I don't got much to do. Not many villains to fight, at least none reported on by the news. He opened a bottle of water and started drinking from it. He heard a groan from next to him. Saitama held out a spare bottle of water to the side of him, realizing it was the kid, and asked, Hey, kid, you alright? Izuku Midoriya quickly got up as he was frightened by the strange bald man. Ah! Saitama noticed a book beside him. Hero Notes for the Future? His curiosity piqued, he reached for the book. The child was mortified. A strange bald man is reaching for his hero analysis book. No, wait! The green-headed teen yelled, trying to get the man not to read his book. But instead, something else occurred. As soon as the man had his notebook, he stood up and handed it back. Here you go, kid. I'm not going to look through your stuff. That's just weird. Saitama simply turned back around and started to walk away after, not wanting to intrude on the kid's business. The greenette reached out and yelled almost hesitantly, Wait! Saitama turned back around to face the kid. You need something? The skittish youth hesitated before asking, Are you the person who saved me or just a passerby? Bit of both, Saitama replied. I was passing by and decided to help. Thank you! I greatly appreciate you saving me! The teen acclaimed while bowing. No problem. Saitama quickly flashed the kid a thumbs up before walking away. After waiting a bit, the kid slapped both of his cheeks to refocus himself. Get it together, Izuku! Time to walk home! Just like that, the hectic scenario between the underpass resolved itself. The green-haired youth walking away and the no-haired adult also walking away. Speaking of, I feel like I'm forgetting something. The shiitake mushrooms! This video is sponsored by NordVPN. Staying safe online is an ever-growing difficulty, and hackers could exploit you. NordVPN allows you to change your IP address, making you harder to track, securing your privacy. In addition to providing you with safe passage through the web, you can also expand the reach of your favorite streaming services. Are you tired of going through 2, 3, or even 4 streaming services to watch your favorite anime? Well, with NordVPN, you can change your country and be able to binge shows like My Hero Academia, Naruto, and many others on your favorite streaming service with just a press of a button. Check out the link in the description to get 72% off when buying for 2 years for $3.29 a month. This deal is for a limited time. And thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. Izuku was almost back at home. At this point, it was almost dark and the sunset brought an orange hue to this day. So as he walked past a familiar location, he stopped and stared at it, feeling almost nostalgic of the good old days of him and his former friend turned childhood bully. Kachan? Izuku whispered to himself, thinking of the exact day he became the person he now knows as a bully. The memory quickly flashed itself inside his mind.
Why are you being so mean? You're hurting him, Kachan!
As quickly as the memory came, however, it left. So he just stood staring at the park he and Kachan used to play at, only being snapped out of it by someone tapping on his shoulder, only to switch to fear by the heteromorph, mysterious being behind him. so much so that he fell back onto the playground.
Hey, kid, you don't happen to know where a child with an explosive quirk is?
Said the giant man crab? The crabman wasn't so terrifying if you forgot to take into account his blood-stained and cracking slightly body. Oh, and also the expression on his face, which looked as if he was willing to murder if he didn't get an answer. Shakily getting up and surprisingly getting into a defensive stance, he prayed to himself, "Oh, please, bald man in an opie hoodie, save me!" Closing his eyes, he refuses to answer him. Even if it meant him dying, he wasn't going to tell him where Kachan was, even if Kachan bullies him now. But that's not what a hero would do.
Well, I at least owe you an explanation as I kill you. You see, I was napping on a bench nearby.
The crabman threw one of his claws into Izuku's stomach, forcing the teen to cough up blood and get sent a good few feet away. Walking back up to him, the crabman continued as he threw more punches at Izuku.
He drew nipples on my glorious body, then proceeded to scorch my beautiful shell once I tried to kill him for it.
More blood on his claws, the crabman got up from the bruised and bloody mess Izuku now was. Raising his claw up, he asked one more time.
Where is the blonde?
For obvious reasons, Izuku was unable to answer. So down went the claw. Izuku felt his hands warm up as the claw came down. A booming shockwave came through. There stood a bald man in an opie hoodie, blocking the blow from the crabman with just one of his hands. An infuriated crabman yelled,
Why does everyone have to get in my way?
slamming his other claw down on the new challenger, only for it to do exactly nothing. Saitama then proceeds to normal punch. The crabman slammed into the tree, an indent where Saitama's fist landed. The crabman fully knocked out, and the fight now over. Saitama looked down and noticed Izuku there, having now saved him for the second time today. Him fading in and out of consciousness, several bones broken, and bloody and beaten on a playground. Jesus, I'm going to have to take you to see her, aren't I? Being a hero is surprisingly stressful. Thank you all for sticking around, and I hope that you enjoyed. Before you leave, we would just like to let you know that We the Celestials has many other channels for your entertainment and viewing purposes. All the information you'll need is right below here in the description, so feel free to check out all the other incredible projects our team creates. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. That's all for today's video, so goodbye and have a divine day.